Hello, dearies. Today we're going to learn about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the famous thinker from the 18th century. Modern life loves the idea of progress. In the 18th century, Europe became more advanced. Mankind was on an upward path towards wealth and culture. At least one thinker disagreed. He still has useful things to say to us today. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was born to a watchmaker. When he was 10, his father got into a legal dispute. The family was forced to flee. As a young man, he went to Paris. There he saw riches. It was a far cry from home. His home was a boring city. He wondered if the arts and sciences were making the world a better place. Rousseau had an idea. Culture and progress had a harmful effect on good people. This was the core of his view on arts and sciences. His idea was simple. People had once been good and happy. They had moved away from their natural state. Then they were cursed by evil and sins. Rousseau thought about the birth of history. It was a peaceful time that he called the state of nature. Remember, the state of nature was not so rosy, according to Thomas Hobbes. Long ago, men and women lived in forests. They had never gone shopping. People would be drawn towards a good life with respect for nature and simple joys. The state of nature was guided by kindness. What was it about culture that was so bad? Rousseau claimed that it had given people a harmful a mindset that was centered around pride, lust, and envy. Rousseau said this was caused when people moved into cities. They began to compare themselves with each other. City people had stopped thinking about what was good. They were merely copying other people. They began fighting for status. Rousseau is known for the idea of the noble savage. He described the goodness of people. He contrasted it with the modern lack of self-control. At the time, people were focused on the sad state of the native tribes in the New World. Reports of native tribes were drawn up in the 16th century. They said the natives were poor but happy. Tribes were small, fair, and brave. When modern people came, the values of the native people had been changed. Natives now wanted guns, alcohol, beads, and mirrors. Rates of alcohol abuse and tobacco abuse had risen. Tribes were breaking up and fighting. The modern world had ruined the state of nature. Rousseau's interest in the goodness led him to children. In 1762, he wrote Emile, or On Education. It is perhaps the best book ever written on how to raise children. In the 17th, 18th century, that is. Rousseau said that children were born good. The key to raising them was to prevent the modern world from ruining them. This was a new idea. Parents had seen their children as wicked. Now they tried to give them a childhood full of nature and play. He invented child-centered schools. Rousseau valued people. In the novels he wrote, Rousseau focused on feelings rather than events. In Julie, written in 1761, he showed the joy and pain of an upper-class woman caught in a love triangle. Others might have seen Julie as unwise. Rousseau painted her love in the higher light. He urged us to see its beauty. Rousseau also wrote one of the first life stories. In his Confessions, Rousseau spends pages on his inner life. He wrote about shopping and the joys of his garden. To him, these were worthless topics. They were part of his task to show the inner life. Rousseau died in 1776 at the age of 66 years old. His fame was only grown. His fame has only grown now. After his death, he was a French hero. He inspired many artists and writers. He believed that people were good, and what ruined people was government. Government came and split people up, divided people. People had more and other people had less. He believed that once you saw what other people had, you wanted it, and you would do anything to get it. He believed that that wickedness is what led to the fall of man. He believed that if you see someone has beautiful Nikes and you have your Walmart sneakers, suddenly you would believe Walmart sneakers are no longer as good as I could get. I could do better. And that is what corrupts man: greed and lust for other things that are better. Once we realize someone has a nicer house, we want that house, and we'll do whatever it takes to get it, including things that are wicked. Rousseau believed people were good until government happened to them, and government is what ruins people, not people being controlled by government. And that is a short version of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. We hope you've enjoyed today's reading, dearie. Please continue to learn.